Hey guys, I am Mac Haskett, and I will now be going over what I did for the AI in my level. In this video, I will be covering a brief rundown of my behavior tree, the unique things I did, how I accomplished them, why I made the decisions I made, and how I plan to implement new ideas into this moving forward. So starting out, I want to briefly go over the behavior tree and how it works. So this is the basis for how the AI will work in our horror level. It adopts similar traits to games like Resident Evil and Outlast, for reference. Starting out here in a weird order, actually, we're going to be starting out in the Chase branch real quick. This branch uses a decorator with an enum as its condition. It will be also using a service that checks if the player is in range. So if the player is out of range of the attack, the AI is going to move to its location until it is in range to attack the player. The next branch is for when the AI is searching for the player. It also uses an enum for its condition, but it only initiates when the AI loses sight of the player. It will get a random location to move to and set the index. When this index reaches 4, it's going to reset the index and then move back to its patrol route. Which, speaking of, this next branch is the patrol route. It uses an array of target points for the AI to move to until it spots the player using AI perception. Now moving to this first branch, this is for when the player shoots the AI and it gets stunned. When it is stunned, it's just going to wait until the health bar is filled, then it will run through its normal routine. So this is part of the unique thing I did, which I will now be going into further detail. So the health bar regeneration was a technique that I picked up from a past project that applied well in this instance, as we needed an AI that can't die, but still needed the player to be able to fight back. So I came up with the solution of having an enemy that can be stunned for a little bit, but ultimately cannot be killed, much like the main enemies in Resident Evil. So how I accomplished this was I used a timer that would run a stun event if the enemy health reaches 0, right here. We got a conditional statement. Then it will regenerate this much health every 0.05 seconds, back in the event graph, right here, 0.05 seconds. While it is running, it's going to set the blackboard enum to the stun branch, where he will remain in place until the health reaches the maximum health, right here. It will then set the blackboard enum to search, which will reinitiate the search branch on the behavior tree, as its condition only runs if the enum is set to search. That is how I accomplished that, and now I'll be moving on to another unique thing I did. So to make the AI a bit more interesting, I implemented query filters that would change the pathing of the AI and would randomize whenever the AI sees the player. I wanted to create an AI that would be more unpredictable when it is chasing the player. My original solution was a toggle, but I found out that I could actually randomize it. And what could be more unpredictable than actual randomization, right? So how I did this was I used a selector node right here, and it would randomly select a query filter using a random int and range. Now, what a query filter does is it is going to override one of the navigational modifier mesh values to a higher number, which will push the AI towards a different modifier mesh with a lower value. So to show how this works, I'm going to give an example. So let's say these two boxes have a value of 1. If the AI spots a player, it's going to randomize to query 1. So what that's going to do is it's going to override this blue box and it's going to give it a value of 2. The AI is going to choose the cheaper option to get to the player, so it is going to choose the red box to get to the player instead of the blue one. On vice versa, if it randomly selects to query 2, it'll override the red box, and the AI will take the blue path instead. I decided to do this to make the AI more unpredictable, to where you don't know if it will make a straight beeline towards you, or if it is going to cut through side rooms to try to cut you off. Moving forward, I would like to expand on this system by implementing a damage sense system to where if the player shoots the AI will turn around and immediately try to attack the player. I would also like to implement an environment query system to where the AI will search each instance of an item in the level, like a locker or a bed, to search for the player after they lost sight of them. Please let me know what you think and how I can improve. I really hope you enjoyed this video and have a good day.